Okay, so if you're a leader, an achiever, someone who just gets things done, I bet you know this feeling. On paper, everything looks great. You're successful. But inside, you feel stuck in this endless loop of urgency, just lurching from one crisis to the next. So in this explainer, we're going to unpack exactly why that happens. And here's a hint. The answer isn't just to work harder. I mean, how many times have you heard this? Or maybe even said it yourself? I work best under pressure. For a lot of high performers, this isn't just a saying, it's like a core part of their identity, right? It's a badge of honor. It basically says, hey, when the pressure's on, that's when I really shine. I deliver. We almost see it as a superpower, this ability to thrive in chaos.
But what if it's not a strength? What if it's actually a survival tactic? Seriously, what if that feeling of laser focus you get under pressure isn't you at your peak at all, but it's a deeply ingrained survival mode that's actually keeping you stuck? That's the big question we're going to dig into.
All right, let's get into it. The first piece of the puzzle is what we call the urgency trap. To really get it, you have to understand what it feels like to be living life as a professional firefighter.
So this is the day-to-day reality, right? You're constantly putting out one fire after another. You always feel like you're backed into a corner. And let's be honest, the only time you feel like you can really focus is when the pressure is on, when that deadline is right there. And after a while, you start to believe it. You convince yourself that this stress isn't just normal, it's actually required for you to perform.
Okay, but what's really going on inside our bodies and our brains when we're in that firefighting mode? Yeah, it feels like focus, but the truth is, relying on adrenaline as your main source of fuel, well, that's an incredibly costly and totally unsustainable strategy.
And this is where it gets really interesting, when you compare how it feels to what's actually happening in your nervous system. That feeling of laser focus, that's really just your perception narrowing, literally blinders going on, so you can only see the threat. That burst of clarity, it's a super temporary boost that leads directly to long-term burnout. And what feels like productivity is really just your body going into overdrive, compensating for what it thinks is a dangerous situation.
And over time, this teaches your nervous system a really dangerous lesson. Danger equals certainty. See, your brain isn't really wired for happiness. It's wired for survival. And for survival, predictability is king. And a crisis, for all its chaos, is actually predictable. It gives you a clear mission, a clear enemy, and your brain starts to crave that.
Which leads to this bizarre paradox, right? When things are calm, it actually starts to feel unsafe. An open block of time on your calendar doesn't feel like an opportunity. It feels threatening. Your ability to think strategically just shuts down. Why? Because without a fire to fight, there's no certainty. And so, the only time you feel truly productive is when you're in a crisis.
Okay, this brings us to the absolute core of the problem. It's a fundamental confusion that our brains make, and it keeps this whole cycle going. We mix up two very different things, safety and certainty. So let's define our terms. First, safety. What is it? It's a felt sense of stability in the present moment. It's an internal feeling, right here, right now, in your body, that you are okay. It has nothing to do with tomorrow. It's about the absence of an immediate threat.
Certainty, on the other hand, that's all about the future. It's about wanting proof. It's the demand for a guarantee that the project will go well or that you'll hit your target. It's a hunt for a specific outcome in a future that, let's face it, is totally unknowable.
And here it is. This is the trap. You can't solve a need for safety by chasing certainty. We feel unsafe on the inside, so we frantically try to create certainty on the outside by overworking and overplanning. We think if we can just control the future, we'll finally feel okay now. But it never, ever works. It's like trying to hammer a nail with a screwdriver. So if trying to achieve our way to safety is the wrong order of operations, then what's the right one? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple, but it does require a huge shift in how we think about performance. It's a simple hierarchy.
Here's how it works. Step 1 is safety. It's that felt sense of, I'm okay right now. That's the foundation. Once you have that, you unlock Step 2, a resourceful state. This is where you have emotional availability, cognitive flexibility, your brain is working with you. And only from that state can you create Step 3, real, sustainable success. Safety builds the foundation for state, which in turn leads to success.
But what do most of us do? We try to do it completely backwards. We chase success, hoping that it will finally make us feel safe. We spend our entire lives trying to achieve our way into a feeling of safety. It's like trying to build a pyramid from the top down. It just doesn't work.
And here's why trying to do it that way is so damaging. When you're already in an unsafe state, feeling anxious, stressed out, and you try to just push harder, your nervous system doesn't hear ambition. It hears, oh my gosh, there's even more danger. So it doubles down, cranking up the anxiety and shutting down your creativity even more. And the results of getting this order wrong are, well, they're probably pretty familiar. You get diminishing returns on your effort. You work harder for worse results. Your anxiety goes through the roof. Your performance is all over the place, and you burn out. And maybe the worst part? Even when you win, it doesn't feel satisfying because your brain is already looking for the next threat. The goalpost just keeps moving.
So what do we do with this? Look, this isn't about lowering your ambition or quitting. Not at all. It's about building your success on a much more stable foundation. It's about reordering your internal operations so you can be ambitious in a way that's actually sustainable. This really sums up the whole shift in thinking. The old way is seeing safety as a reward you get after you succeed, something you have to earn. The new way is seeing safety as a precondition. It's something you establish before you even start creating. It's not the prize at the end of the race, it's the fuel in the tank.
So, I want to leave you with a question to think about. This isn't a how-to guide or a 5-step plan. It's just a new map, a different way to understand what drives you. So just ask yourself, what could you create? What could you really build if safety came first, not last?